Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular session of the Mayor and Council, City of Bisbee, County of Cochise, State of Arizona. It's being held on Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, starting at 7:10 p.m. here in our council chambers. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Juanetta Hill.
Present.
Councilmember Joni Giacomino.
Here.
Councilmember Frank Davis is excused. Mayor Ken Budge.
Here.
Councilmember Leslie Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Mal Saweed.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Anna Klein.
Here.
City Staff Stephen Pocken, City Manager. Ashley Coronado, City Clerk. Carrie Bagley, Finance Director. Matthew Gurney, Public Works Director. Tim Cox, Police Chief. Jim Richardson, Fire Chief. Joe Estes, City Attorney.
Thank you. For a moment of silence tonight, I just would like to have everybody just take a minute and reflect on our city and how diverse we are and how tolerance is so very important to our this diverse community. That we all have different values and all have different feelings that drive us versus maybe somebody else, but as a community as a whole, we come together, and so when items come up that may be contentious, we can work together and understand everybody's situation. So take a minute just to think about that. Thanks. All right, pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have no proclamations tonight. I missed the last meeting, but I did think that we had a very good conference at the League of Cities, and just wanted to announce that I think some good things came out of it. We learned quite a few things, one of them which we kind of handled tonight, at least on a work session wise. And just a little something I'm kind of proud of myself is I actually was voted in as one of the executive board members of the league. And so out of the 90 cities, there are 16 of us that actually sit on the board of directors that basically it's the executive committee that helps to do that. It's a few extra meetings for me, but I felt it important to have a smaller city and somebody from southeastern Arizona. And so I ran for it and got appointed for it. All right. Call the public. We only have one for item number 7, so we'll move on to the general business. So first item on general business is accounts payable. I have a motion.
I move that we pay accounts payable in the amount of $229,671.47. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have questions on accounts payable?
I just have a couple today.
Sure, go ahead.
On page 6, account 6971, Dog Cat Mouse Media, 1803, and then below it, Sister City Photography, 780. On the 1803, I thought we had eliminated the contract we had with with Stale. Is this one of the last payment, or?
That is for the Arts Commission catalog that they're putting out, so that's paid out of the Arts Commission fund.
The 780?
The 1803,
1803.
Oh, and the 780 is for the photographer that did the work? Or?
that's the photographer
Okay,
that also did
okay.
the work, yes.
All right. Okay, and just one, just a big number, because I didn't know what is it for. It's 22,389 for the Cochise County Treasurer. What is that? So municipal household.
Sorry, where is that on?
Page 8.
Would that be sanitation?
No, Cochise County Treasurer.
Yeah, that's our sanitation.
Oh, No, it's a
Isn't it, Bill?
Tipping.
It's under tipping fees. It's for the
for the,
trash.
for the
Trash.
Okay, for the trash. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's what we pay to put the garbage in the landfill.
Okay, and this is monthly, monthly.
You bet.
So I want to ask for it next time. Okay.
So they complain about your garbage bill?
Yeah. I just I know how last month or next month.
We have a garbage bill too.
I just want to keep them on their toes. Yeah. Okay.
All right, we have a motion and second to pay accounts payable amount of $229,671.47. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, so moved. We're going to move on now to the approval of the consent agenda. We have 3 items. One of them is A is for minutes of the regular session on September 6th. Number 2 is a parking facility use permit for the Copper Queen Hotel for a Halloween street party dance. And the last one is a special event liquor license application by Disney Pride for an event held at 401 Cole Avenue on November 26th. Does anybody have anything to pull?
I would like item B pulled.
All right, item D will be pulled. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A and C as listed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items A and C. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So moving on to item D. Go ahead.
Is there anyone from the Copper Queen here tonight?
Here's that.
Can I move that we table this item because I would like to ask them some questions before we vote on it?
Okay, just,
I,
just, you can make that motion and be fine. I would ask that maybe you put those questions to the city clerk, that she could send them out so that they can answer those when they show up.
okay, I'll do that one.
I mean, that would be, that way they would have maybe a better idea
Okay.
how to answer that.
All right, I move that we table this item for this.
Motion and second to table item B of the consent agenda for a parking facility use permit for the Copper Queen Hotel for a Halloween street party. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. It is tabled. Okay, we'll move on to old business. Bear with me while I get to item 3. This is a discussion and possible approval of ordinance O-22-12, accepting the transfer of real property from the Southeast Arizona LLC located at 103D Street, Bisbee. I think this is the second reading on this. Anything you want to add?
Nothing other than staff recommends approval.
Is there any questions on the acceptance of the property located at 103D? I believe this would be one of our workforce housings.
Yes.
Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move to approve ordinance O-22-12, accepting the transfer of real property from Southeast Arizona Renovations LLC located at 103 D Street, Bisbee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance O-22-12 for property located at 103D Street. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Hill,
Aye.
Councilmember Giacominno,
Aye.
Councilmember Johns,
Aye.
Councilmember Sweet,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Budge.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to old business item 4. This is discussion and possible approval of the notice of intent to adopt ordinance O-22-13. This is authorizing a utility easement to the Arizona Public Services Company located at 118 Walsh. I believe this was, I wasn't here, but I think it was tabled last month. Do we have questions from that tabling? Were they answered?
My question at the time was it the neighbors that requested this, and I was told that it was APS requested, and then you were gonna get back to us?
Yes. So I talked to Logan because he was the one here last time doing it. APS is asking to put in a new pole. The old pole was requested by APS, their field guys, to move it, to replace that pole and to move it 6 feet so it's better accessible for the workers. So it's moving it pretty much like 6 feet from where it is now, where the old pole is.
So it's not a new pole?
So we're not
Addition.
adding pole, we're replacing it, but moving it 6 feet. Correct.
You know, 6 feet, you know, Bisbee, that's right.
Yeah.
3 houses away. It could be any. Anyway, sorry, I just have, gotta keep her light. Is that, we all good? I'll take a motion then. Okay, I'll move to approve resolution R-2215 authorizing the adoption of owner, oh, what am I talking? Well, see, I already moved forward. I'm on to the- You guys are goofing me out.
Oh, boy, yes.
Because I'm like moving forward instead of backwards.
You missed this one meeting and everything.
Okay, I move to approve notice of intent to adopt ordinance O-2213 authorizing utility easement for Arizona Public Service Company located near 118 Walsh Avenue. Okay, we have a motion and a second for item number 4. Roll call.
Councilmember Hill.
Aye.
Councilmember Giacominno.
Aye.
Councilmember Johns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sweet.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein.
Aye.
Mayor Budge.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Now I can go to number 5, which I was reading. This is a discussion possible approval of resolution R-2215. This is authorizing the adoption of an owner-occupied housing rehabilitation guidelines in relation to the application for Polonius CDBG set-aside funds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a set of guidelines that has been worked on between and among the city of Bisbee and Seagull over many weeks and months. And Melissa Hartman, our housing planner, is here to make a brief presentation and answer any questions.
Thank you.
I'm right here.
And you got a backup.
I do have a backup, and if you don't mind, I'd like to ask him to come up.
Sure.
We partnered with Seagull on this, and I think the two of us can go over it pretty well.
We'd like you to tag something.
You got it. You got it. You got it. These guidelines are a necessary thing based on, for the individual community in order to let Seagull procure any CDBG funding for the types of projects that we've done. So there is an overall adoption that you'll do today of the of the packet, which I think you have, and it's quite extensive. And it goes over how a rehab it should be done, has all the regulations, the rules, to offer an owner-occupied rehab. The owner-occupied rehabs, and step in here anywhere, can be in three different types. You can do a 15,000 and under, which will be a grant to a homeowner. You can do up to 30,000, which would be a more extensive renovation, and those owners would have a payback over 5 years.
It goes up the more money you get, the longer the payoff period is.
Right.
But
Go ahead.
Stand up.
it's, if you stay in your house, it's a grant at the end of the day. It operates like a loan to keep you from flipping your house. The CDBG program rules require a 5-year benefit to people that are low to moderate income. So that's kind of HUD's insurance policy that you'll stay put. When we first did the outreach and we had the meeting with the folks in Saginaw and stuff, we were talking about everything's going to be a loan like that, but we actually got the go-ahead from Department of Housing to say anything 15,000 or less will just be a straight grant, not messing with paperwork and liens and promissory notes and who keeps the files and whose job is it to go. You know, for 15,000, we're able to just say, nope, you're good. Enjoy your roof or whatever. You were saying, ma'am.
And we'll move on to that project, but these guidelines have to be in place before you can move forward to do any of these types of projects and apply for the money through HUD. So that is really what you're adopting today, is a plan that I actually wrote when I was at Seago before the city, that's adopted to our area. So if you have any questions, I realize it's big, and if you look it over and you have any questions, even after you look it over, you're welcome to call me and we can walk you through it.
Can I make a couple of comments before?
Sure. Absolutely.
The whole point of the Department of Housing is like the HUD field office in Arizona, right? So when we say HUD, we're talking about Department of Housing. It's really kind of interchangeable. No. The idea is to have a consistent, transparent set of guidelines and rules that everybody knows they can look at and say, okay, that's how this works. And it's not my cousin something. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. The second thing is it's a living document. It can be tweaked. You know, you can do things like prioritize certain populations that you want to make sure they get the help. You can say, well, we want the 15,000 to be a loan after all. You can do all those things. Then you come back for an additional council action, adopt a fresh resolution, make the changes. So it can be changed in the future. I think that's pretty good.
So what I'm hearing is, this is like the tracks on the railroad. This sets the parameter, but we can always change it and send it in a different direction. We're not tying future mayor and councils into anything at all.
No, you're not. And it only comes into play when you're actually seeking those funds to do housing rehab.
Right.
And it's kind of like HUD, if they're gonna give this money, that they require that we have this. And so this has been approved by the Department of Housing, all the language in it. So they require that before they'll release those funds. In fact, the resolution to adopt them and the housing rehab guidelines would be uploaded with our Colonius application in a few days.
Yeah.
So, and just as a clarification, I think if I remember from the meeting over in Saginaw, that we can apply for these funds every year versus the normal CGB that comes around every 4 years.
Right, that's a different pot
Yeah.
of money, but it could be applied to one of these programs.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part of it. But yeah, how often will Seago be applying?
I can,
Colonius is every year.
every other
Every
year.
other
Oh,
year.
every other, okay.
Yes,
I wanted
Every
to
other year,
clarify.
okay.
Questions, discussions, go.
So how do you, who ensures that these funds are dispersed and who gets priority? For example, you have 10 applicants and then you give priority to the 5 and then you have the other 5, they may say, well, I mean, how do we ensure this is?
Yeah, good go.
We actually have a little mini public hearing within a public hearing. That's the next item on the agenda. And some of your questions, Mr. Mayor, about the different grant cycles and some of your questions about prioritizing and stuff, I'd love to get into those in a moment. I could do it now, but
More appropriate to do.
Next time, that's fine. That's fine.
we're up next again. We're going to be.
We'll give you an idea about the questions.
Right. We'll be holding a public hearing. Any questions on the actual guidelines?
That's guidelines.
Any other? Seeing none, could I have a motion, please? Please?
I move to approve resolution R-22-15, authorizing the adoption of owner-occupied housing rehabilitation guidelines in relation to an application for Colonius CDBG set-aside funds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R-22-15 as agenda-sized item number 5. Resolution, we can do that with a voice vote, right? Yeah. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. So moved. All right. Now we'll move on to the actual item number 6, which is a public hearing discussion of possible approval of resolution R-2216. This is authorizing the submission of the application for FY 2021 and 2022 to State Community Development Block Grant Colonius Set-Aside Funds, certifying that said application meets the community's previously identified housing and community development needs and requirements of the state CDBG program, and authorizing all actions necessary to implement and complete the activities outlined in said application. Roy,
I'm
you
sorry.
wrote that one.
I'm sorry for that brief introduction. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thanks.
Again, now that you have approved the guidelines, that was the legal and necessary step to move to this point in the agenda. And where we are now is, we are seeking to approve a resolution authorizing submission of the actual grant application to HUD for CDBG funding to set aside funds for the Saginaw Colonias. So Keith and Melissa are gonna do this one too.
Okay, after your report, then I'll open it up for a public hearing, so go ahead.
Excellent. I'm not totally sure if I'm getting at your question, Councilman, but I'll start with a rhetorical question. Why Saginaw? Start at the neighborhood level. In spring of 2020, the city manager at the time, Teresa Coleman, well, let's start at the beginning. The folks in Saginaw for a long time have wanted some help. You know, their houses need to be fixed. There's houses in the neighborhood that probably just need to go bye-bye so that they become buildable lots, or at least not fire hazards, which, you know, we dealt with this year, right? And so in response to that, Ms. Coleman had started the effort to get the Saginaw neighborhood and Zacatecas County designated as an eligible colonia to be able to participate in this biannual colonia set-aside funding round. The reason why we're here tonight is because of those neighbors in Saginaw. They started all of this. It took a long time to get that approval from the Department of Housing. We had to go and do additional research. Doug Taylor helped with that. You know, we went to the county recorders. We're taking all these pictures, going, okay, how about now? Is this enough? How about now? And it finally came back, yes. So the Colonias list for Department of Housing for the state has been updated for the first time in probably a decade with 2 neighborhoods in Bisbee. They joined Bakerville, Tin Town, and also Zacatecas Canyon. So there's 4 neighborhoods in Bisbee now that are eligible to participate in these funds. So that's the reason why it's that neighborhood. I've been asked that by a couple of people. I just wanted to say that, you know, we just kind of carried this little light, you know, all of this time through the pandemic, and then the round came out. And the bad news about the Colonia Set-Aside Round is if you'll remember, we were all here in this room in 2020. That was when Bisbee got its first Colonias grant. It was for improvements to finish the work that had been designed in Tin Town. And the state gave us 4 months to hold these hearings, figure out where we're going to get matching funds and all that kind of business. This time, I'll just blame the pandemic. The next business day after saying Saginaw is now a Colonia, congratulations, next Monday, the round is open. You can now apply for these funds, and you don't have 4 months, you have 2 months. So I'm getting some gray hairs. I know I'm not the only one. So these Colonias areas around the state, they're all along the border region, within 150 miles of the border, and you have to be on the approved list from the Department of Housing and have a water, wastewater, stormwater, or housing rehab issue, and be in a low to moderate income neighborhood. If you meet all of those criteria, you can apply for these funds. They have to be shovel-ready projects with all of the upfront work done. That's why we're going crazy, because we have like half the time to do twice the work. That round is every other year. It's $1.9 million this year. And the majority of these colonias are in the Seago region. I mean, a good chunk of them are in Cochise County, so it's kind of like we're not competing with the rest of the state. We're ideally competing with each other, because 2/3 of the colonias in the state are in the Seago region, Santa Cruz, Cochise, Graham, and Greenland counties. So it's like, it's a real advantage that we have from being on the border. We can go after these funds, and people in Prescott or wherever they cannot. So we got the housing rehab guidelines in place. We held a public meeting. We held a public hearing in this room of 3 weeks ago. We've got about 4 that have been households that have been income qualified, which you have to do first. Then we've handed it off to Joe, who has really stepped up and has really helped out a lot. I really want to recognize Joe, because like you already have a job, now you're doing this, and he's really put the time in. We got an email from him with the latest cost estimates for one of the homes that he inspected after 5 o'clock today. If we can just get one more, and we do 5 houses on this application, that'll be great. Once we get the cost estimates done, then we have to do like this environmental review thing, and CEGO, we're working on that, and hopefully it'll be a pretty quick turnaround. The application is due a week from Friday. I'm gonna be out of town. So I'm gonna bug the City of Bisbee staff to give me all the paperwork, the minutes, for this meeting and the last, all of that stuff. Can you please get it to us by Friday? It's gonna be crazy, and it's gonna be great. Let me look at my notes, because I feel like I'm just kind of rambling here. Probably 5 homes, there are a waiting list. Oh yeah, we're gonna have more people that we had income qualified than we'll have time to get them through the process, okay? We started out thinking if we could get 10 homes into the application, we'd be doing great. We're going to probably have to just do good rather than great. 5 houses at this point is probably what we'll be able to put into this application. But for those homeowners who filled out all this paperwork and got their hopes up, keep them up. We'll maintain a waiting list, and when the next grant round comes up, and I'll talk about those in a minute, you know, we just update those. They got about a 6-month shelf life. You know, you have to reprove that you didn't win the lottery since the last time we talked. And if we have those scopes of work developed and those cost estimates and the environmental, then the next time there's one of these grant application rounds that comes up, we just go, boom, here they are. You know, we'll do all the public hearings and stuff, but we are starting to develop this housing rehab program. It is, I hope, just the beginning. So let's talk about additional subsequent funding opportunities to do this. The Colonia set-aside round is every other year. The next time it comes up is 2024. That year, it just happens that the city will get its regular non-competitive regional account money, CDBG money. When the next Colonias round comes up, I'll just recommend 2 years in advance that the city go after some more of it. And I'll recommend to anybody in the room that you bug these guys when the time comes to do just that. Colonias money can only be used for housing rehab in the housing dimension. Regular CDBG money could be used, I'm just throwing this out there, to address another problem in the Saginaw neighborhood or somewhere else, which is getting rid of those old houses that are never coming back. You can get a letter signed from the property owner, and you can procure a demo contractor, and they can come in there and get rid of those. It would require that the city declare Saginaw to be a slum and blight, which is one of the 3 things you can do with CDBG money. It has to either benefit low to moderate income people, address an urgent health hazard, or eliminate slum and blight. You guys, years and years ago, had done that with Tin Town, and it just greases the wheels when you're coming after, you know, some of this funding, because it becomes a targeted area that feds are like, ooh, spend money there. It's slum and blight, you know. So you can do that with Saginaw, and you can use some of that regional account money to make new buildable lots, and then you can use the Colonias money to fix houses. When the Colonias round comes back up again, I'll just also, since I'm just making recommendations 2 years in advance to you guys, you know, there's 3 other Colonias in town, right? So we're here because it's like, I just wanted to honor Saginaw and the neighbors, their efforts and everything, but in 2024, it could be fair game. You could say anybody in Tin Town, Zacatecas Canyon, Bakerville, or Saginaw can apply, and we can really open it up to the whole town. Meanwhile, every year, there is something called the State Special Project Grant, which is up to $500,000 in CDBG money, and it's a statewide competition. That's every year. It is very hard, it's very narrow margins for victory on that, because you're competing with the whole state. And a lot of nonprofits and local governments around the rest of the state have figured out that you can just go back to the well for $500,000 at a time and fix houses. And if you've got a good system and good grant performance, and you've got a source of matching funds, you're gonna outperform everybody. It's the opposite of Colonias. So the point is, we'd be happy to go for that as well. They're gonna announce that round this fall. But here's the catch. Seagull won't do a state special project grant unless the community puts up at least 21% matching funds, because otherwise we won't get the points, we won't get the grant, and we will have wasted our time, right? So we did do that in Tombstone. They got their senior center fixed up. They did do the match. We had to apply for it twice, 2 years in a row, but now they're getting a generator and they got a new roof on there and painting, all this kind of stuff. So Bisbee can do that too. That's available every year, and it's made for housing rehab. So there's annual, there's every 6 years a regional account, and then there's every 2 years Colonias. You guys can just start working. Councilman, it looked like,
Yes.
yes, sir.
No, I mean, you've answered my question.
Oh, good.
You have answered, yes,
Okay.
yes. Based on how the process and how you go about it. The only question I may have here is, some of these homes just were maybe purchased by someone that bought them for investment purposes.
Like an
So is
Airbnb?
that income? Yes, yes. And so this money, I think you answered my question, is based on income. It's not based on the house being in Saginaw or the shape it's in. That's I want clarity on this one.
You're close, but there's one other really, really important thing. You have to be an owner occupant. It
Okay.
has to be your primary residence, and you're not planning on moving.
And
So-
your income has to play a role.
You have to be low
Okay.
to moderate income, 80% or less of the median. You don't have to be like in poverty
Okay.
or even 60%, 80% or less. So you have to be low to moderate income. You have to live in that as your full-time residence.
For how long?
5 years.
Typically, the way it works is that you do the deal, you have to be in the house for 5 years. Usually there's an annual requirement that you have to show that you're still in the house. If you sell the house before the 5 years, you just have to pay back the loan. And then at the end of the 5 years, you verify that you're still in the house, the loan's forgiven, the deed's released, and it's essentially a grant.
And Mr. Estes is talking about, he's going back to the previous agenda item, which is, it's important. Those, we had talked about, there's like 3 tiers: the emergency minor home repair, 15,000 or less, then there's the moderate, and then there's tear the whole thing down and start over, right? Those upper 2 levels, everything he said, yes. The 15,000,
It's a loan, it's a grant.
we decided to be chill about it.
And just on the 15,000, who insures that money? I mean, who does the repair? The owner, or who oversees that? Okay. I think she
I'm ready to kind of wind us back around
Yeah.
specifically to the Saginaw neighborhood and the work we've been doing on this in the last couple of weeks. So one of the things we did was we had neighborhood meetings, we posted everywhere. We have actually gathered like 12 to 15 applications in various states, and as Keith said, not all of them are going to qualify. But one of the things that we've been doing, well, I've been doing is not only did we deliver door to door, we did a mailing list, but we left phone numbers. So I've been out in the neighborhood working with some elderly people who didn't speak English real well or couldn't write. And so we've directly been helping them fill out applications. So then Joe goes out, and one of the things that the applicants in Saginaw do is list 3 of their top priorities as to what they think their need is. You know, is it a new roof? Is it wiring? Is it a back door? Whatever it is. Joe then takes the paperwork we created and he goes out and he does a quick inspection based on an inspection sheet that we have to use for HUD, and then he puts a cost estimate to that. Now, Joe may see something entirely different that's more of a priority, and we'll just call them back and work with them and talk to them about that. We haven't heard any feedback that they don't want all those things done just yet. So once the grant comes in, then what the city of Bisbee will do is we will then do a bid for contractors to make sure that they're licensed, bonded, meet all the criteria that you also have in the rules that you adopted. So that's really how that part will happen. So it is bonded, guaranteed, it's the best work we can get for them. Also, that the client has the ability to, we hope this doesn't happen because it's very hard to get contractors. If there's for some reason they just don't like them, we'll work with them and try and supply another. They don't just blindly go in without that homeowner knowing what they're getting, when they're getting it, and how they're getting it. So once it's complete, it's inspected, paid off. We have a payment mechanism and everything's set up once again in the book that you adopted, and they're off and running.
So the money doesn't go to the base to you guys?
The client never sees the money. It's gonna go through. Yeah.
Competitively procured contract.
Yeah, it's a contract.
Just make sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I just have to add that it's been a delight meeting some of the people in Saginaw, and hearing the stories about the houses, how, their father and grandfather took them from a truck and got them there, so I don't want to take up more time, but I've had a genuinely good time working with the people on this. Any more questions?
So it's all about. Questions? Well, it's a good presentation, appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
So what I'll do here is I'm going to open public hearing. We'll gonna ask if anybody, members of the public, are in support of this item, they may come and have 3 minutes. All right, is there anybody here in the public that are opposed to this? Seeing none, did we receive any
No, sir.
written communications?
No.
Having none, I will close public hearing. Open it up for discussion among council members. Any further thoughts on this? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution R2216.
I move to approve Resolution R2216 authorizing the submission of an application for FY 2021-2022 State Community Development Block Grant Colonial Set Aside Funds.
Second?
I have a motion, a second, to approve resolution R-2216, authorizing the application for state community development block Columbia set aside funds. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hill?
Aye.
Councilmember Giacominno?
Aye.
Councilmember Johns?
Aye.
Councilmember Sweet?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein?
Aye.
Mayor Budge?
Aye, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Cross your fingers.
for all the work. We'll get her, I know you guys. All right. All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Next agenda item is number 7. This is a discussion and possible direction to staff on the Christmas on the Vista event. This was asked by Councilmember Johns and Giacominno. I'll give you guys first crack at it, whatever you like.
Did you have somebody signed up to speak to this? And we had others too.
Yes, there were some letters, and we do have a sign-up. If you would like to hear from them first, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Tracy, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, staff that's present this evening. I know you got a couple of emails from me tonight, so the hat I am wearing right now before you is as the Bisbee Saturday Market Manager. Mayor and council, we are writing to you in regard to agenda item number 7, regular meeting of council 9/20/22. We officially found out about the Festival of Christmas on the Vista on 8/18/22 via public announcement in the Bisbee Observer. The event has been planned for the Lower Vista Park between the hours of 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. We have been informed by the intent by the Director and Operations Manager of DPW to move Saturday Market up past the Rose Gardens. Moving the market is unacceptable for a number of reasons. 1. Mayor and Council approved use of Lower Vista Park as applied for by Bisbee Saturday Market, resulting in the contract for use of Lower Vista Park for Saturday mornings between 7:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. 2. For the majority of our vendors, this market is the entirety of their weekly income, and to move it would create a cost to sales for vendors. As the market is intentionally set up for ease of shopping, vendors have assigned spaces and shoppers know where to find them. 3, vendors are also intentionally lined up with the cement walkway to ensure wheelchair and disability access and ease of mobility from vendor to vendor. Moving the market to a completely grassy area with no handicap access is contrary to the inclusive policy of the market. 4, the Saturday market has a contract with the USDA to accept food stamps on the site it rents from the city. It is not transferable to another site. If we are moved, we will be either in violation of our contract, or equally as devastating, we would be unable to accept food stamps that day, which is detrimental to your constituents who depend on the market for access to healthy foods with their benefits. While we recognize that this event may potentially bring customers to the market, we should have been invited to planning sessions and consulted as to the impact of not only moving the market, but also to what the overlapping hours filled with carolers, entertainment, and activities would have on the conducting of business at Saturday Market. Thank you for your time and your continued support of Saturday Market. Sincerely, Tracy Trujella and Douglas Taylor.
Thank you. All right, I'll open up for discussion from. You go ahead.
I'll go ahead and start. For the most part, I think an event in Warren is a good idea. My concern is the articles that I read in the paper that kind of blindsided me. The fact that the lights are going out on the Festival of Lights. Festival of Lights has been an ongoing event in Bisbee for many years. It used to occur on Main Street long time ago until it was Heradicized and moved up to City Park, which did take some of the spin off of it. But I just am a little concerned as to why we're canceling it. I think it would be great to run both events at the same time. You could have Festival of Lights still on Friday, and then after Farmers Market, have the Warren event also. I do see a conflict with the farmers market in the sense that the city did sign a contract, and that bothers me that that's not taken into consideration. And that was discussed back when we signed the contract. We talked about this possibility occurring, yet as a council we signed and said that yes, that they would be given this contract for a specific space. Not that they could be randomly moved whenever. There have been people complaining to me and via email as far as the name, Christmas in the Vista. Because there are many people that are non-denominational. I don't know if that's the right term to use. Some people don't celebrate Christmas. Henceforth, why we had Festival of Lights as a name. And if the city is partnering with that, that could put us in an interesting situation. Again, I think it's a great idea as far as for Warren. I think it's a great family thing. But with the city coming in on it, I think we could be opening up a can of worms, possibly. And there are people complaining about that because there are people that are not happy with the name of it. I think one of my concerns is the closed, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not very open. From the article that I read in the paper, it said the only people that are going to be allowed to do lights would be from Cole Avenue to Rookie. And I had people on, I guess it's Bisbee Road, is that where the hospital is? Bisbee Road. Complaining, well, we want to be in the decoration. And years ago, we used to have decorating citywide. And that was something that we wanted, we had talked about, some of us bringing that back with the prize like it used to. And I think people all the way down until on Michael Highway even competed in that. And you had to submit your letter saying you wanted your house done. Some people have been very insulted about it and have called me and they're like, why is it just Warren? Why isn't it open to everyone? So that's been a concern that has been voiced very openly about it. And I tend to agree, not that I would decorate my house, but I do know that there are many people out there that want to decorate. And again, I can't emphasize how I think it would be great if both were going. That would be a weekend that our city could utilize. It would open up Warren on Saturday. And it would also include Festival of Lights as it was. I mean, personally, I'd like to see Festival of Lights move back down to Main Street, how it used to be. So that's just some of the concerns that have been voiced. And people are really upset about Festival of Lights, i.e. lights going out. I'm trying to remember, we were talking about this, and Festival of Lights has been in effect for at least 20 years. More than that, probably 30, because I think you performed
I
it.
performed in it as a
Yeah.
child.
So the fact that we're taking, and I mean, and this was a very popular thing before COVID. And I think the Warren event could benefit from the fact the Festival of Lights still being on. I mean, it could be very useful. But again, to kind of get blindsided, and that's how I felt, as a Bisbee resident, not just a Ward person, that the festival's lights are going out, that was a little disappointing. It was actually very disappointing.
So I agree with everything Joni said. I don't think it's our place as people who represent the government to celebrate a holiday that is from one religion. And I do not believe that we should violate our contract with the farmers market by moving them. And the other thing, because rumors filter back to us, is that this event is not going to be picking up their own insurance. They're going to be umbrellaed under the city's insurance, and I'm concerned about that, because that's not fair to the art festival that has been paying for their own insurance. That is not fair to, the farmers market that pays for their own insurance. And I'm concerned about those things. But I can get behind an event in Warren. I think we do need to draw people to that part of town more. Matt talked about an ice skating rink at budget time, and I'm excited about that. And so I'm not trying to trash this event all out. I just have concerns. And the main ones being the name, the insurance, and moving the farmer's market. So that's what I wanted to bring to council, and I just want us to talk about this before this whole thing gets planned out and we've had no say. So those are my concerns, and I wanted to hear from the rest of you. And I did get, Ken and I both got an email from Frank today, and he said that he would rather see it stay Festival of Lights than change it to Christmas on the Vista too. And I know he's not here to vote or give direction, but I wanted to bring his input to this too. So that's what I have to say.
Okay. Ward
Yeah.
2.
Well, I may, I'm always the guy outside of the box here. First of all, yeah,
We've got a box.
but it's a great thing for Warren, and I want to. Now we have because we've talked about 3 different conflicts here: the Saturday market, the insurance, and the city and legality of city sponsoring this. I don't have an answer for those, but I think the idea, as a dad and a grandfather, I like the idea of this event. I like the idea of because it is Christmas. And my family, we have several religions, but this is Christmas. You want to name it something other than Christmas? We have the lights, we can do the lights and all this. We have other events that will go by their names. And this is, why would we take that away? It's a Christmas event. We can all celebrate Christmas. I personally have 4 religions in my family. And Christmas, it's a great thing. It brings the family back. The kids love it. They like the idea of it. I think we are focusing on a name. To take away that, I think that's a little bit, I disagree with. Now, the other issues with the market, I think we can work that out. The issue with the insurance and the city, how much the city can sponsor or not, that's legal. I don't have the information on. But let's not take away, because Bisbee hosts a lot of events, and we name them how they are. We don't say, oh, well, because if it's conformed to this color or to this religion or this belief, we cannot go by the name. It's a Christmas and it's fun, and I don't think as a city I know some people disagree, and maybe say it, and maybe thinking outside. It's a Christmas event, and we can still do the Festival of Light in Old Bisbee. And let's just keep something. Let's just not just demolish this because it's the name. Like I said, my family, we have Muslim, we have Jewish, we have Buddha. Even one of my son-in-law, he's a Buddha. It brings family together, and I don't think we should focus on the naming rather than on the event itself and what it does to bring people together. So this is what I believe, and now we can work on the other issues that has to do with the city, what has to do with this. But it's Christmas. Let's not give it another name. It's Christmas. This is my thought.
Okay. I'm going to let everybody have their little say, and then I'm going to come to staff to kind of find out actually what was ever put in the paper.
With it all.
Okay. Does anybody else have a burning desire for? I want to give everybody here their first shot. You're the elected official.
Well, my thing is, we have a contract with the Saturday market. I don't even know why there's a discussion on why we would even think about moving them.
I don't think there is.
Because I don't know, that's just wrong. I don't have an issue with the name of Christmas on the Vista. But I do like the idea of the Festival of Lights on Main Street like we used to. Close it down, and that's when we would just turn on the lights instead of having Christmas year-round on Main Street, which I think is just tacky. But that's just me. So yes, Mr. Coffey, what do you have to say?
Well, let me start over.
Exactly.
Don't start it.
We have one more. You like? Yes. You like? Wait.
I've been here, I've never been here during, you're talking to my Can I hear, I don't understand. Is it on?
It's on, but just bring it close.
Just pull it right into your.
Oh, yeah.
Like I do.
Oh,
You have karaoke night.
That involves margarita.
Unfortunately, I have not spent any Christmas holiday in Bisbee, with relatives on East and West Coast. I agree that it should not, impact Vista Park, and we need to work that out, not moving them around. I'm comfortable if you celebrate it as a festival of arts, or we have Christmas in however we want to name that. And I do agree that it would be wonderful, especially after COVID, et cetera, that we have an opportunity to bring members of the community together to celebrate. Now, other than that, I am listening to everyone else's opinion, and I'm going to give the floor to Steve, because he said he will resolve this with just a few.
Actually, I get to do it.
When you become mayor.
I'm going to give him the floor before I chirp in by the little mayor's part, because I need some additional clarification. I think you'll be able to give it to us. Go ahead.
Okay, just a few points, and Juanetta, I'm sorry, I'm probably not gonna resolve this, but I'm gonna clear up a few things, okay? Number one, no one's applied for a permit yet. Okay, that's step one, okay? You all consider permits for events. And until that permit application comes to the city for your consideration, it's like nothing happened. Okay? So that's a step that needs to be taken. Point number two. Yes, we do have a contractual relationship with Saturday Market, which we are design clad, and we're going to be able to break. So that's a non-issue. It's moot. Okay? So, and item number three, even though I know that Public Works has had some discussions with the neighborhood group. That neighborhood group has an idea of what they would like to do, and I'm sure that they will be more than happy to work with us to make it work for everybody. And so I think this is really, now, I'm going to confess that I didn't read whatever was in the observer, okay? It's, you know, and it's of no consequence to your deliberations, okay? I do realize that you get phone calls and emails because of some of those articles that show up in the newspaper, and, sorry, Laura, I know you're listening. But, so anyway, I think what would be the best way, if we were going to resolve the issue, would be to step back away from all of this and start over, okay? The neighborhood group in Warren wants to do something for Christmas. You know, and I'm just gonna make a minor point, because someone sent me a message today that said this festival lights wasn't about Christmas, except the part where Santa came in on the fire truck.
Yeah.
Other than that, no connection. I mean, I get all that. We have our personal philosophies, but we're here to make public policy. And I don't believe that public policy excludes. I believe it includes. And I think that, I realize, and everybody out there who disagrees with me, you're entitled to your opinion. I give you that much, and you're enshrined in the Constitution. But we include, we don't exclude. That's a hallmark of this community. And so, if we step back to the beginning, and we start over, I mean, I realize some of you already done some planning, and I know we're not really right at the beginning. But what we need to do is we need to step back, and we need to start over again, make sure we do it so that it's transparent, everybody knows what's going on. Hopefully, he stays out of the newspaper long enough to bring an application to all of you to consider. And then, quite frankly, at that point, it depends upon what staff can handle, okay? I had several conversations with some of you and some folks out in the public about, you know, how much the city should support this event. Well, anybody who has an event in Bisbee gets support from the city. The market gets support from the city, okay? Everything that we approve, we provide support for. That's who we are, okay? To the degree that that's possible, we will provide it for all of the events you want. Now, nobody has stepped forward to do the Festival of Lights yet. That's a whole separate conversation. I don't want to start that tonight. But if we want to revive the Festival of Lights, not only does it need city support, but it needs support from the community as well. So, and quite frankly, I told Public Works Department at the beginning of the calendar year that I was disappointed that we didn't do something to recognize the holiday season. And it turned out that a former employee was the one who put the mix on that. I was unfortunately not informed, or we would have done something. Let's start over and resolve to do it using the right process, the right way to do it, and see what we can do to maximize our festival, our holiday, our Christmas, our, you know, whatever you practice, we approve you.
Thank you. We let the mayor have a couple of
Festivus,
minutes.
don't forget.
Yes, I want that one.
I already brought that one up.
That's Joey. the mayor.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's fine.
Give me
For the rest of us.
my 2 seconds. To me, community events are about community, and what I want to do is, as the city and as the mayor, would be support as many of those as I can. Now, we have to be fair across the board, in my feeling is. I mean, whether it's Brewery Gulch Days, it's the coaster races, it takes a lot of volunteer work. You know, we have a few people in Public Works and the park staff that can help with certain things, and we as a council have the ability to waive certain fees if we so feel that's what we want. But and I'll put this out across to me, you come to me as a community group and you want to do something, we'll do as much as we can for you, but we aren't going to be able to treat one more fairly than another. So, because we require Brewery Gulf Stage to get insurance, I think we require somebody else. Now, the only thing I know, I mean, I don't know of really sponsored, we do 4th of July, and that's really something we've done, and we've done Festival of Lights for years. That's been two of the ones that actually are sponsored. I personally don't think there is this big thing between church and state when all we are doing is offering some backup for our help. And if a community group wants to do something, we'll try and honor that as much as we can. But we're not going to run the event. If it's a city event, sponsored event, then yes, I agree. Then we have to be thought about what are we naming it and what are we doing, because we are the government. But if it's the community that's coming and asking for some government help, that's a whole different issue. We're not sponsoring it. We're just doing what a government should do, which is serve their citizens. So I'm all about serving our citizens. If they want to do, we want to keep going on with Festival of Lights, I'll be talking to the staff and seeing, because that has been kind of a traditionally sponsored by the city and is namely so. That's why if we have the staff to be able to do it, we can continue it. As far as any other event, if San Jose wants to put something on and call it Festivus, I don't. If it's a community that of people that are coming and want to do something in their community to help bring us together, make us a city. That was kind of what my whole thought was when I asked for the moment of silence. I think we support all kinds of things. I mean, we are one of the most diverse. That's what drew me here. That's why I'm the mayor here, okay? Because I can support Pride, I can support Christmas, I can support Festus, I can support anything that people want to bring if it's for our community. Now, if you're going to put on an event and make a bunch of money, well, then you're going to pay your way, because that's not. But these are community events. And we're not drawing a bunch of vacationers from Tucson to come down and necessarily see our what happens on the vistas. But so to me, those community events are important to me, and I think that's what we need to get back and think about. So I've said my piece, and if you all, you two are okay.
Can I just have something?
You betcha.
So one thing I do want to add is I would like to see it citywide, a decorating contest.
Yeah.
And I'll even front the prize money. I seriously. I mean, it used to be $100 for first. Well, it used to be $100 first place, 75 for second place, and 50 for
Well,
third
no,
place.
make
I will.
No,
No,
I'm not
I-
gonna be a judge.
But I just
I'm
think
glad somebody's
that
doing it. I'm
that's
not doing
something
it.
that needs to be done, citywide.
Yeah.
Well,
You
the
know.
chamber,
It's just been
Well,
too
the
much.
chamber we don't have a chamber.
right, I know, I'm just saying the chamber,
Right.
a lot of the things that we used to have, the chamber used to take the lead on it,
Right.
and we just don't have that.
And I know that was one of the big public concerns with the people
Johnny,
that
just
contacted me, was the fact that, they felt slighted, because it's like, why is it only this small area that's gonna get to have the decorating? I mean, that was.
And I had the same question, and I want to ask, and
Right.
I had the same question, and that's why I spoke of this. Actually, the ladies here, this community, they wanted to do something in that neighborhood, and they felt they could not do it citywide. And the thing, what I've heard from them, Johnny, is that they're going to start here. They'll be glad to see it wide, but they can only do so much. It's the first year, it's the first time. They're going to test it, see how it goes. And for us, really, and I meant it, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, something is wonderful. It's wonderful for our kids, whether you believe or not believe, whether it's, and the name, Christmas. We have gay pride, we have this, we have that.
I'm
Let's
not
call them
saying I'm
Christmas,
against it,
yeah.
I'm just stating.
Yeah, I know, I'm
people
just
say to
explaining.
me,
Yeah.
right, I'm like,
Believe me,
I'm for it, but-
Johnny, I had those people too, but I have to think.
Okay, so we don't talk over each other.
Right.
Yes.
You
No, I
need to-
just-
You need to let me give you the floor.
Yes.
So please.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Would you be willing to allow the chairman of the neighborhood committee to say a few words?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, we're here to just have this discussion, and that would be fine. It'd be good. Just state your name,
Thank
and
you.
we know you're from Warren.
Hey. My name is Rachel Ali, and I'm the one that came up with Christmas on the Vista. It started out with me and my neighbor, who, if you have gone down the Vista, you've noticed that we do Halloween up for the children. My child is 30 years old. I didn't do Halloween for her, but I do it for the children in Warren. I have children that I send pictures to that have left Warren, and that is a memory that I created for that child, and that means a lot to me. So I started doing Christmas with my next door neighbor, and we just started thinking about, wouldn't it be great, those people across the street now are starting to light up their house because we started to. Wouldn't it be great if we could get a couple of people together to do this? That was my intention, but it grew bigger than that, and people on the Vista wanted to participate. And so I took the helm and I said, I will do this. I am $4,000 in debt right now. Well, I'm not, I have the money, but I've spent $4,000 so far in making this happen. I am in charge of the house decorating contest. I have bought the little placards that go in your yard. I have got the QR codes together. I really, really want this to be a great event. So much so that I'm not asking for my money back. I'm not going to charge somebody to be a part of the house decorating committee because I want to give back to my community. And my community and giving back is to do a nominal fee of $10, and you have a choice of where you want that money to go. You can do more than $10, but just $10 to go to any 501c3 that is in our community. So I'm giving back that way. With the lighting, which I'm also in charge of, I asked Public Works if I could light all of the trees since we don't have any lighting. And the way to do that, I didn't want the city to have to buy that. So I researched the best lights that I could, solar lights. And I have been from 4 o'clock in the morning till midnight, pounding the streets, getting people and businesses to sponsor a tree. At this point, I have over half of the trees lit up. And every night, if you go out tonight after this meeting, you'll see along the ballpark, I just sold 3 more trees. That's getting the community together. That's getting businesses. My intentions in the beginning were to kind of have the farmers market also extended and then just go from there so that it was just a big, huge community thing. I realized after talking with Tracy that I couldn't afford the insurance at all. And so I chose that that was not something that I wanted to be able to tackle, in that the house decorating and the tree lighting are enough for me for this year. My intentions are to help anybody who wants to do this in their neighborhood, but I have to learn it first. I have to know how to do this so that I can teach the next person how they can do it successfully, with researching the lights, with how to get the play cards out, how to publish all of this stuff. So I'm working very hard at doing this. I don't have all of the know-how, obviously, but I'm doing my best. I'm willing to work with anybody. I so want this to be successful for Bisbee, not for myself, that I don't care about the money. When the trees are sponsored, they don't even cover the lights for me. And I test those lights. I put them up as soon as you get your tree. I will tag that tree. So people are now looking in the park when they're walking their dogs. They're looking for that little red tag. Who sponsored that? Can I have that tree? I want this tree. We have neighbors coming out at night to look at the trees, driving up and down the vista. That's what I want to see. I want to bring back memories to families and children, and that's why I started this. Any questions?
I have a question. So you're lighting up trees now and not just for the Christmas event?
I am testing the lights. They will go on. I'm testing them to see how many lights it takes, whether they work, and then I take them down that very night. So the ones that are up today, I will be taking down and packaging them and getting them ready so that I know how many more lights I need. So they will not be lit until Thanksgiving. While you guys are having turkey and pumpkin pie, most of you, I will be out there lighting the trees.
So did you check with the city
Yes.
prior to all this on doing these trees?
Yes, I checked with Public Works. That's where I need to go. That's where I was told to go.
Did Public Works check with
That I
the city
can't, I
manager?
can't answer.
I don't recall being asked, but I don't usually get asked about things like that, and I don't have any problem with this. I can trust Public Works to get that done correctly.
No one else will be lighting those lights. Public Works, I have told them that I will be the only one there doing the lights, so I'm not allowing anybody else to go out and do the lights. And I've told those people, everybody, that you cannot go out there for liability, that only I am gonna be there. And I'm only doing them the tree trunks down. I'm not going up into the trees, but I am 5 miles.
The only thing that I think is necessary, unless Matt's already gotten it done to you, you should have signed off on a volunteer form, which includes a waiver of liability.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, can you take care of that tonight? That's the only thing I would report.
The only, I think what really kind of made a bigger issue, at least to me too, when I read it, was Chris was on the Vistas replacing Festival of Lights. And I don't think that was your intention.
That was
And
not
somehow it somehow, I don't know how it got in the newspaper that way.
That's not, that wasn't my publication.
So
My
that's-
publication,
Yeah.
the city's putting out a publication, and after that I put out a publication. My publications are human interest publications. They are, one of the trees that I had researched in the, park was a memorial to a little child who died at 6 years old. I tracked that person down, found her grandmother, who's living here, and I'm getting that out into the public to get interest into the trees. When it comes to the house decorating, I have another public interest article about why somebody on the Vista is decorating their house as a promise to their mother who passed away.
Well,
So
thank you.
I'm doing the public interest stuff, I'm not doing the, who, what, where, when, and why.
Oh, just say something, my peripheral vision.
Now, so is your group planning like an event on the Vista with the vendors and with an ice skating rink?
I am helping the city as far, because I want this event to be very successful. I am willing to even work harder at getting the city with vendors. So I am getting vendors, but I tell every vendor that that money that they get, that they purchase, that goes to the city. I have nothing to do
So
with
it is a
that.
city planned event happening on the Vista, it's not coming from the community group?
The only thing that's community is the lights and the house decorating, and at this point, I have it only on the Vista because that's enough for me. I am more than happy to help anybody that wants another part, that wants to do it in their neighborhood. I'm more than happy to help them with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for that. I mean,
I think, would you like to hear from Matt?
Matt, so we can
Yes.
clarify, yeah.
I go ahead, come on up,
I
Matt.
don't know.
One thing I wanted to say is, I mean, I remember way back when we had a Chamber of Commerce, and what bothered me more than anything is I lost the Bucky O'Neill lights. They used to sponsor that, and when they closed, I took it over. And so, for years, I bought every bulb that had to be replaced every year out of my pocket. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I just, because I can see it from my bedroom window, I just loved it and thought that was a gift I'd give back. And Freeport was always willing to hike over there and risk their guys, well, until the bottom of it finally rusted out, that they said, there's no way we can safely even begin to do what we used to do. So I understand the lighting and keeping that up, and that's, kind of where, and I would like to see us And that's what Festival of Lights, we used to turn them all on, that one.
That we read a proclamation
Yeah.
and then turn them on, that was the start
Yeah.
of the holiday season.
And that was, one of the
That's
lights
great.
was on Bucky O'Neill and the rest of
And
it.
people will come from all over
Yeah.
for this.
And so, we'll see if we can put something like that back and go from there. But anyway, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. So from, I appreciate all of your words. I'm not just saying that just to be nice, I appreciate your feedback, that gives me direction on how you guys feel. You guys are council. From the very beginning, when I brought it to council when we were doing budget, my idea was trying to make something better. Possibly bringing more people. The one place I could thought of, well, there was two places, was the Vista Park and, like you have all said, on Main Street. I heard that there was a lot of problems with doing it on Main Street, so I didn't with closing the street and everything. That's what I've heard from my other staff. So that might be wrong, so I'm just going off of what I know. So this was, from my standpoint, but when I talked to you guys about this, I had no idea any of this was going on. After the Warren community came to me, I had already had this thought, this dream that, hey, maybe we can make it bigger, eventually, have everybody, not just a few people coming up to Old Bisbee, but if that's something that you guys, that's the direction that you guys want, I'll do my best to do whatever you guys want to do for the community. I'm not doing this because this is what I want, I'm trying to just do what is best for the community. So if we want it on Main Street, we'll do it on Main Street. I don't think I can do two different programs. This was pretty much Festival of Lights, just with a new name and a new location. That's all it was. That's all I'm doing, is the same thing we did at Festival of Lights. That's what we're doing. Me and Lorena have been putting that together, well, mainly her, because she's been doing this for a few years, so that's all it is. And the name, I can change the name, it doesn't matter.
But Matt, you're not involved in the lights here, so you say
No,
you're not.
that's what I'm trying to say. When I brought it, thought
But
of
you just
doing it-
said, oh, if we're gonna do, but you're not, I mean, you're not involved in this light. You said whatever they call it, so you have, they are doing all of this.
Yes.
So if you want to do an event, because she's doing all of this, if you believe, everyone believes you wanna do this, and along with the lights, because she's doing all the lights, unless you're
Yes.
planning on doing more lights? Is this what you're saying?
The only lights that we were planning on doing is the ones around the bottom area.
But she's doing that, not you.
Well, no, she's doing the perimeter lights. I was doing it in the middle.
Oh, in the middle, oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, I just get confused.
So I do have a question.
Yeah,
So
I'm
if
confused
you're
now.
not involved then, and they're doing, which is, them doing the Warren thing is great. and
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yes.
Why can't the city of Bisbee still do Festival of Lights
That-
and make it a big
Yes.
thing? Because if we do Festival of Lights on Thursday, that's gonna bring, Friday, sorry. That's gonna bring that many more people for the Warren event. And that's gonna help, that's gonna then bring the hordes, hordes, the lots of people, the lots of people from Old Bisbee, and introduce them to Warren in a different aspect. I think this thing in the park is a great idea, and I have always thought that was a great idea. What has upset many people, and that I was contacted about, was getting rid of Festival of Lights. There's a lot of people that support the Warren thing too, but why are we getting rid of Festival of Lights, and why is the city, and I'm just telling you what I'm being told.
No, I
Why is the
appreciate
city getting involved? It doesn't seem fair, I can go on and on. But if, you're not involved with that, great, because then why can't like I said, the Festival of Lights still happen, and then it runs over. Everybody's right to
It-
and it runs over to the Warren.
Is that all you're about?
I know, Halloween's coming, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but and then that would just make it even better and better for them.
That's fine. I thought when talking about was doing two events, I thought you meant having pretty much two Festival of Lights, because that's what we're doing, is still a festival. Everything we've done for Festival of Lights for the past, I don't know how many years, That's what we've been doing, it's just to be at the visit, because there's a lot more space for people to park and space to do things. I'm fine doing it on Main Street, if that's where you guys want it, if you want it on City Park.
No, not in City Park.
Main Street, Main
But
Street used to fill.
My point is, whatever you guys would like to do, we will do whatever we can. We'll do it.
So if I might now, let staff get back, start, sit down and kind of work it out and bring it back to us. I think they've heard some direction from us. I see head shaking, so if
No,
if that's okay, we'll kind of.
And I will conclude this, I promise to be my last question. So,
I'm holding you to
I
it.
think because, now, this is my read, and I'm honest about this. You have, probably, along the way, there was some collaboration with these ladies that you're gonna do, let's just put it here now, because we can't drop them in the middle of the road now. Let's just be fair. No, I mean that. There was some collaboration, there were promises that we can do some here, we can help, like the mayor said, we help with all events, we help with all activities. If we're gonna do Main Street, we're still gonna give them some support. Wouldn't that be right, Mr. Manager?
Like we do with everyone.
Yes. Okay, so they would get what they want, and if you want to do something extra, we'll do that.
Okay.
Thanks for settling that.
Yeah, finished. Let's go, we can go home now.
You had-
No, we're not done.
All righty, guys.
Oh, three more?
Are we okay? I don't want to push on, but it's been a long night.
We're not
Oh.
taking questions, are we, from the audience?
No,
I appreciate it.
no, this
You
is
guys.
Just
Okay.
discussion and
I just think there need to be, the public was.
I think your direction is clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you restate it one more time?
If they signed up on the sign-up sheet, they have their, okay. Let's, I think we can, come together on this. All right, let's move on to item number 8. Will be a discussion and possible approval of another resolution, R-2205, approving the 5-year lease with the United States Postal Service for the facility in Old Bisbee at a rate of $59,815 per year. It's effective January 1, 2023. City manager. Anything?
Mayor and council, I'll go ahead and
I was gonna hand it off to him.
take this one
City attorney.
on. This is just the lease for the post office that's coming up. It's due for renewal at the end of the year. We've been working with the post office's representatives, JLL, for over a year at this point.
More than
2. Yeah. Going back and forth on the terms and conditions of the lease. We've come to an agreement which was acceptable with all the parties with regard to the terms. Essentially, this allows for an initial 5-year lease with multiple renewal options. As you know, the post office has been there for a long time.
Okay,
Do you have any questions with regard to any of the terms? We can go through each paragraph if you'd like.
okay,
I do have it.
go ahead first. And
I understand, extending the lease, raising the price just a little bit. Why are we paying Jones Lane, a commission?
Why are we paying the post office's representatives a commission?
Yes, why?
It is something that the post office does and forces on everyone, on all 25,000 of their rental properties. It is a requirement. I've dealt with this in my other jurisdictions where we have rental and leases with the post office. And what we've done is we've included a provision that if for some reason, one, we add additional funds to the base rent from what they were asking to cover the cost of that. And then we say if you do terminate the lease within the first 5 years, we get a prorated amount of that back. So essentially, we're not coming out of pocket. It's accounted for in the increased rent amount over the years, but it is a a requirement that they require because they use JLL to manage all 25,000 of their properties, and it's not something that they will waive.
Didn't matter what, then I'll let you.
Further to that, because this was, when I came back to work in April of 2021, this was a pending item sitting on my desk. And I was contacted as soon as the JLL knew there was a new city manager, they contacted me to prevail upon me. I went back and I looked at what at the current time is the existing lease. This is the future lease. I actually had been around at the time that we negotiated the lease that we're under now. And there was a different management company, it wasn't JLL, it was a different broker. And they had charged us like $3,500 to do the lease that we currently are under. So, when I reviewed the proposed lease and JLL's agreement with us, their proposed amount was $12,000. Obviously that, that made my eyes get a little bigger. And I also calculated, because there's a very, very small 2% increase in the amount they're paying us for the next 5 years, the post office is, for the lease on the post office. After you subtracted the commission of $12,000, we would actually have netted less money than we did in the current 5-year lease. So, we brought that little factoid up to Ms. West at JLL, and within 24 hours, she had reduced it to the current amount, which is what, 3,000? 3,300. So we did at least have the presence of mind to make sure that when we got paid, we were actually going to make more than we did in the previous 5 years. While it's not a lot, it's still the largest lease that we do have. Of all the leases we have, this is the largest one. So we actually are going to realize a little bit more money.
I don't have an issue with the lease and everything in it. What I would like to know is, can we request that they have regular hours so we can pick up our mail, because their hours are ridiculous, and they close before most people that are, especially if they're working out of town, they can't, on the weekday, they can't get there to the post office to check their mail because they close at like 4 o'clock.
And Old Bisbee's forced to use the post office, and they can't have home delivery, so it's like, okay, I have to pay for a 50 to 60, I don't know how much it is now, $65 mailbox. Post,
Yeah,
probably
60,
more.
yeah,
Is it?
61, 62.
Well, anyway, and I can't even get my mail because it closes before I get off work here. I mean, that's what's it's very frustrating.
You have to talk to the federal government on that.
Well,
Yeah, but then we as
we see.
the bill, right,
No law,
then
no fund.
can't we require or request or at least work on it?
Yeah,
You can always ask.
I did ask.
Oh.
Okay, I actually went to the lady that oversees both post office, and she felt because of some past experiences that they had had in the post office, that's why they decided to close it, and that was their decision. So, you're right, Mayor Pro Tem, this may be a negotiated piece that we could say, put that responsibility on us to keep it safer. I suggested cameras. They didn't seem to like that, but we can put them in, they're not that expensive. Maybe we use all this extra money we're getting
Yeah,
for
because
cameras.
they used to be open, all night long, and you could go in and check your box. I mean, when they had a post office in Warren, they used to have it in Warren when I was a kid, and we would go get our mail anytime we wanted. And even as an adult, when I lived in Warren.
Actually, this was just the last couple of years. And all Bisbee, you can go anytime. When they started having, I'm aware of this, a lot of homeless were going and sleeping inside. A couple of times where they had to go, and I think this one had started. People were going and sleeping inside the building.
I said issues.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can check my PO box appearance housing around the clock.
Yeah.
However, to check our business PO box in Old Bisbee, you
Yeah.
can't.
You can't do it on Saturday afternoon, you can't do it
Right.
Sunday,
Yeah.
and you can't do it after
That's
4:30.
causing- I mean, that's a big issue for people.
Right.
And especially people in Old Bisbee.
We understand you can't go and pick up a package, but you can open your
Right.
box.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So, staff, is there a way we could work on it?
No. Yes. If you want,
That's
we-
not what I told you, sorry.
If council would like to table this item, we can go back to USPS and let them know of your concerns and let them know that, you know, we need a response back from them on a commitment to having better service hours. I mean, ultimately, it's council decision whether or not to renew the lease and continue to lease to the post office, or require them to find another place to lease.
Well, this-
But I think there's another solution to the problem, it may be a little bit of heavy-handed, but you own the building.
Right.
You can tell them when those doors are locked and unlocked.
Can you do it nicer?
Yeah. Yeah, be nice.
Well,
I get that they don't want in Old Bisbee to be open 24/7. I understand that. But if we could just get the hours extended to maybe 7 or 7:30 in the evening to allow the out-of-town workers to get home, check their mail, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I understand not wanting it open all night, because I've done in very late and
I mean,
turn around and walk out.
we can certainly bring that, and we have no objection to tabling this to the next council meeting. I don't think I'd wanna table it any longer. But I think the conversation should be more like we own the building. And we are serving our public, and they need to be able to get in there, during hours which you aren't open, because, I mean, the way it sounds, the post office is open more hours than they are.
the situation is because we don't have home delivery. If it was an option for you to take out a post office box, well, maybe they could limit us, but that was the issue I brought up with the manager, and
See, I thought,
she's very,
I mean, this change occurred while I wasn't working. So when I came back, my understanding was it was a security matter, but it was also, I understood at the time at least that they were open more hours than they are. I mean, it's just four.
No, they just kept their doors. You can go anytime and get your.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Just to be
yeah.
able to access the
Yeah,
boxes.
yeah. 24 hours used to be.
I remember that.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
So
it's-
we'll go work on it, we'll give them a chance to play nice, and if they don't, we'll play tough.
yeah, I mean, what she told me, to be quite honest, was we're renting it from you, so we're like the renter, so we get to control that, and so I didn't know where we were.
Yeah, we'll take
Anyway,
another
we'll
look
work
at it.
on
I
it.
don't think
So
so.
let's just move on, so I'm gonna make a motion that we table, resolution R-2205, or this particular item 8. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion, a second, to table this until the next meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Thanks. We'll have our competent staff move forward on that. Okay, item 9, discussion and possible approval of a notice of intent to adopt ordinance O-2214. This is an ordinance of the mayor and council, city of Bisbee, authorizing the sale and transfer of certain property located at 105 E Street, city of Bisbee, county of Cochise, under the city's workforce housing initiative, authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary for consummation of the transaction contemplated by this ordinance. Boy, somebody's really writing these long.
By the order. I'm just gonna accept responsibility for it, Mr. Mayor. This is, as you just said, one of our workforce houses. This is sale number 3, and the buyer is a city employee, and we are proud to recommend that we put yet another working member of the Bisbee family in a house in Bisbee.
Yes, take an ordinance, so we gotta go through this twice, you can't do the resolution.
It's
It's a sale of real property.
Oh,
If you're
okay.
selling property, you can't.
So this is notice of intent. Any questions about moving this on to a, right? Motion? Oh, you got a question?
No, I just, how did you come up with the price, the $95,000?
It is 80% of the lowest comp received by a realtor.
Okay, so we'll have
We have a
backup for that.
Yeah, that's the process that council, well, you weren't on council yet. but
Yeah.
It's following the recommendations of the policy that was
Okay.
adopted by council.
So that's the number. And was there bidders or is just one person?
Lottery.
We had 3 people
Uh-huh,
who expressed an interest in
okay.
that and one other house that we are this close
Okay.
to getting ready. So by random poll,
Okay.
the winner was selected.
Okay, so there was a poll and.
There are certain requirements. Number one, they have to be pre-qualified, okay? So we have to know they can buy it
Okay.
if they're selected. And they have to attend a seminar so that they know how to go about obtaining financing, either through publicly guaranteed funds or by regular bank loan.
And that's the first home.
And
They have not previously owned a property.
Okay.
and they also have.
Just want to clarify this because
They also
people are
have to-
always asking those questions.
They also have to sign that,
They will own it for.
well, no, that if they sell it within the first
Yeah.
5 years, that reduction of 20%.
He will have to pay back. Okay, just want to clarify this. Okay.
Those are the other.
And then the funds from this sale will go into basically the revolving fund that will be reinvesting in the
Other
next
homes.
house.
Yeah, okay.
All right, have a motion to,
I move to approve the notice of intent to adopt ordinance 0-22-14, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Bisbee, county of Cochise, state of Arizona, authorizing the sale and transfer of certain property located at 105 E Street, city of Bisbee, county of Cochise, state of Arizona, under the city's workforce housing initiative, authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary for the consummation of the transaction contemplated by this ordinance.
Second.
thank you. I'm going horse, but you're doing good. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance O-2214. An ordinance, I'll call for a roll call.
Councilmember Hill.
Aye.
Councilmember Giacomino.
Aye.
Councilmember Johns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sweet.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein.
Aye.
Mayor Budge.
Aye, after passes 6-0. Moving on to item 10, this is discussion and possible approval of the EPA cleanup grant application for Hillcrest apartment building. Mr.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, real quickly, during the bidding process, as you know, we went out for bids to sell Hillcrest for a second time, because the successful bidder last year was unable to collect everything they needed to move forward with the project. One of the things that, in the process of, and Melissa's here tonight, because she's been helping me do the interviews with the 3 bidders that we have, and we've talked to them twice now, and it's abundantly clear to us at this point that there is a substantial level of asbestos in the building. And of course, we knew that already because of the earlier assessment that was done on the building by Stantec. We feel that the ability to successfully bring this project to its completion will require removal of the asbestos. Not only is it a federal mandate, but it's the right thing to do. We were made aware a couple of weeks ago of a grant that EPA has released, and it's probably part of the $1 trillion bill that was just passed in Congress and signed by the president. that's providing money for this type of activity through US EPA. So, unlike other grants that we've been wrestling with, this one's apparently being granted and administered directly by the federal agency, which is somewhat unusual. So, due to the highly technical nature of this grant application and all of the work that will have to go into it to prove that it's eligible for funding, it became necessary to talk to somebody who could successfully apply for the grant. There's going to be a lot of technical work and engineering, engineers in and out of that building, assessing everything closely enough just to satisfy the EPA. And I think you know from working on the wastewater plant with AEQ, which is really the state EPA, that it will be very technical. So the only contractor who in the region who does this on a routine basis, and because of their unique relationship with that particular building, having been through it top to bottom, north to south, in the past 2 years to assess the building for us, I would like to recommend that Stantec prepare that application, because they've already got half the technical work done, and can proceed in a quick enough fashion. These grants will be awarded in November, so we're really already out of time.
All right, I might just take a note that this 7,000 will come out of the ARP money, but I have a commitment that once it sells, we can put that money back into the ARP fund if we can get the building sold.
Coming out of there.
That ARP money.
Okay, yes, okay.
That's a
Not
tough
ours.
district.
It's not ours. Probably.
Oh, yeah, Arts Commission's gonna be.
You're hearing me, you're hearing me.
Anybody on the Arts Commission who heard that, it was a joke.
From here on out, I'll start just saying ARPA. 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 I left that A on. I did. All right, so, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
How sure are you think you're gonna get that 142,500? So will this be dependent on making sure we're getting the money? I mean, you're saying we're gonna get it from the ARP money and pay it back? The 142, was this for sure we're getting that,
I'm
money?
sorry, 142 what?
We're only paying 7,500.
The total, the fiscal impact, 142,500?
You're on the wrong.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one?
You're on the wrong one.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry,
jumped
I
ahead.
went ahead of you guys.
It's
Yeah.
7,000.
Not only Ken can do that, I can do that too.
And don't follow me.
Yeah.
It's getting close to my bedtime. so-
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at the $7,500.
Right.
No, I don't have a question.
All right, so I move to approve a grant preparation agreement with Santec Consulting Services in preparation of an application for environmental remediation services for the Hillcrest apartment building.
I second.
We have a motion and a second for item number 10 on the agenda. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. We have one more to go. This will be a discussion, number 11, discussion of possible approval of the award of KE&G construction and demolition and earthwork project for the new City Hall, City of Bisbee, and authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with KE&G Inc. I'll take a lead on this just for a second. There was some reporting that this demolition was about taking down the front of the building. And I cleared that up right away, and no, we're not doing that. It's just some of the last footings and walls of the basement. And this will just be a matter of filling the big hole, getting us a nice flat base, compacted and ready to go. I also want to mention that the original lowest bid on this, when we bid it out the first time, was 280 something. 87,000, and this came in at 140. So we're looking at ways to try to make this happen and save some money. So Did I do good, boss?
Well, you
Yeah.
did good. I too had an opportunity to communicate with the author of the
Oh.
Bisbee Wire.
Oh, did you? I didn't bring that up.
But-
Guys, this is not about bragging, let's just move on.
I'm not gonna brag here because I want it to be absolutely clear that everybody understands. We're not taking out the entryway to that building with this contract. Now, when I did speak to the editor of The Wire, he promised me that he would put it in the next edition of The Wire, but that's not fast enough. And so I want it clear, so everybody in the community, and particularly my neighbors in Warren, to understand that we're not taking out the entryway to that building, period, end of story, okay? I can't wait 2 more weeks or however long it is to the next wire to get that information out there, so. And I know there's 2 newspapers that are listening to this council meeting, so I'm hoping it's in their next edition. There I go, okay? Sorry, Fred, but it had to be said. Okay, so what this is, and I'm very pleased, because our construction estimate when we bid this project out in May for this earthwork was $150,000, okay? So to see 2 bids that come relatively close to that construction estimate is, in my mind, it's excellent news. That it could mean several things. I won't waste a lot of time discussing those tonight. But I do want you to know that Albert Hopper, the architect, is here tonight, just in case you have any questions as to how we're going to do this. That's like staff recommends approval of a low bid. KDG.
Questions?
This will be the question I had. So where this money is coming from? Is this coming from the fund, from the rebuilding fund, from the insurance fund? Where is it coming
No,
from?
this is coming from Fund 99. That would be where the insurance money sits.
So it's from the insurance, from the 2 million. So the 2 million are getting less now, so it's their fault.
Well, I mean, it will from here on out, and I hope.
And it's,
I hope we have some left to build the building with, that's what.
but it's $140,000 less than what was on the original bid.
Well, for me, you know, that doesn't apply. Sorry.
Doesn't me.
We're doing it the way that succeeds, and sometimes it takes a couple of tries to get there.
Okay.
And using more local is always better, because they know us and we know them. That's my opinion. All right, motion.
I move to approve awarding KDG Construction Inc. the demolition and earthwork project for the new city hall for the city of Bisbee, and authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with KDG Construction Inc.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to approve a contract with KDG for $142,500 for the new city hall project. All those, that's a biggie. Let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Hill.
Aye.
Councilmember Giacomino.
Aye.
Councilmember Johns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sweet.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein. Mayor Budge.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. We're doing good, guys. I mean, we've been here since 5:30, and I appreciate it, our architect, for hanging in there. I should have moved that to the front. I didn't know.
I'm not a poor guy.
All right, we have city manager's report. Anything?
I wouldn't dare, thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you.
And I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for putting up for the long meeting. This is, happens, but I think we got a lot done tonight, so thank everybody. Motion to adjourn? So moved.
So moved.
So moved. Second. All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yay.